We were silent together, but in different ways. I, because I didn't know how to say it. You, because I was afraid to hear it. We sat side by side, and there was silence between us. Not calm, but tense, like a string that no one touches. I looked at you, and couldn't start, because every word seemed superfluous. Every phrase, dangerous. Every pause, like an abyss. And you were silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you didn't want to hear what you already knew. We were silent together, and this silence was louder than any scream. I remember how your eyes searched for mine, and I hid, because I wasn't ready, because I didn't know if I should, because I didn't know if I could. You sat next to me, and your silence was like a wall, and mine was like a shadow. We were silent together, but in different ways, and this difference changed everything. We sat next to me, and there was silence between us, not calm, but tense, like a string that no one touches, like a door that no one opens. I wanted to say, but I didn't know how, because every word seemed wrong, too direct, too weak, too late, and you were silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you were afraid to hear what I already felt. We were silent together, but in different ways. I was from the inside. You were from the outside. I am afraid to be frank. You are afraid to be abandoned. And this silence grew between us, like a wall, like ice, like something we couldn't name. I remember how you looked at me, with eyes that asked, and I didn't answer, because I had no words, because I had only trembling, only doubts, only silence. I remember how you wanted to touch me, but I couldn't, because my silence was like a barrier, like protection, like an escape. And I was silent, because I didn't know if you could stand the truth. And you were silent, because I didn't know if I would say what you were afraid to hear. We were silent together, but in different ways. And this difference changed everything, because we were close, but not together. We were in silence, but not at peace. We were waiting, but not in dialogue. And I didn't know whether this silence united us or divided us. I didn't know whether we were silent to preserve or not to lose. But I knew one thing. We were silent together, but in different ways. And one day, you said, quietly, hesitantly, almost like a whisper, but I didn't hear, because I was busy with my silence, with my fear, with my inner noise. You said, I can't be silent anymore. And I was silent in response. Not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't. You opened the door, and I didn't go in, because I didn't see that it was open. You took a step, and I stayed, because I didn't realize that it was a step towards me. And that moment changed everything, because we were no longer silent together. We were silent separately. You, after you said, I, after you didn't hear. And that silence became a wall, not between us, but in us. I remember how you looked at me, with eyes that were waiting, and I didn't answer, because I was inside myself, in my silence, in my inability to be there. And you left, not loudly, not with a shout, but with silence, the same one we once shared, and now lost. And I am left, with words I didn't say, with an answer I didn't give, with a silence I didn't hear, because we were silent together, but differently. And this difference changed everything. Now I am silent, but differently. Now I listen, even when nothing sounds. I listen to your silence, the one you left, the one I didn't hear then, the one that now speaks louder than anything. I listen to myself, what I didn't say, what I was afraid of, what I hid. And this silence is no longer a wall, but a space in which I can be. the space you were in, the space we were silent in, together, in different ways, but sincerely. I remember you not with words, but with pauses, with looks, with presence. I remember how you were there, even when I couldn't be with myself. And now, when I'm silent, I'm not afraid, because I know you were, and you are, in me, in silence, in everything we didn't say. I stay, not because I have to, but because I want to. I stay, as you stayed with me. I'm silent, but in this silence there is you. I listen, and this silence speaks. About us, about what was, about what remains. Because we were silent together, but in different ways. And this difference changed everything. But now, I listen, and I stay.